Alright, welcome back for another support Zilean video. In this video I actually managed to carry somewhat with Zilean, so if you've never seen a support carry a game, then this might be a new experience for you. It's played around 1640, 1650 ELO, so I'm slowly moving up in ELO, getting better, and I think these videos are definitely helping me get better, and hopefully they'll help you guys get better too. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, comment at the end of the videos. That really helps me out, so I really appreciate it when you guys do that. As far as masteries, I actually, before I'd been trying out the XP bonus in the utility tree where you get 40 extra XP for every kill or assist you do, and I think that mastery sucks. So at first I thought it was gold too, and it's not. So if it was 40 gold, it'd be awesome. I think it'd be really great. It's like, it'd be better than any of the gold masteries, but it's only experience and it's just not very good. You're not gonna get, it's not gonna be that useful. Like you'll just get plenty of experience from kills and the, you know, your passive, and also like you'll get extra experience from the utility tree. I have like a 6% bonus XP, so I think that's pretty important. And so here we're just setting up. I started off of Fairy Charm, 3 Sight Wards, 2 Health Pots, and that's pretty standard. The reason you get these items is Fairy Charm can be built into a GP10 item, and it also lets you harass more, use your mana, so you can use this mana regen to use mana spells more often. The wards are for 2 purposes. They prevent you from getting ganked, so you can put one here. Here's a good spot on either side, really. The Tribush is pretty good on purple side. It is okay on blue side. If they're sneaky, they might sneak through this jungle to gank from behind. And you can also put one if they have a pink ward and you see them put them like right here to kill your ward. You can put a pink ward here, and that's a little trick you can do. It prevents this pink ward from seeing your ward. So if you're having little pink ward wars, say that 3 times fast, then you can use this trick to, you know, kill extra wards if they're not aware of it. Another spot you can put a ward is by dragon right here, and this lets you see what's going on down through the river. The only problem is if you put it up here, they can obviously sneak through this way, which is kind of one of the reasons why you want to put it here. You can also sort of, I think you could probably put it right about here. This probably gives you the most vision. It lets you see if they're going towards your blue. It lets you see if they're coming through this either side of the river. So this is maybe the most efficient spot to put the ward. And so that's the jungling ward spots. And the other ward spots and it's really important why you get these extra wards. You know, 3 is a lot. It's gonna, you know, be longer. It's more wards than you need really, because if you're only warding this, is to ward these 2 possible brushes, and this lets you get lane control here. So let's say I'm hanging out here, I can just harass them pretty easily, and they can't see me, so they can't necessarily harass me back. So that lets you control these bushes, and therefore control your lanes better. My goal in this lane again is to put bombs on really any of them, but when you're doing harass, you really want to focus on one person if possible, and that is just way better, because if you just focus it on one person, you get one person much lower, obviously. So then you can focus that person down, or that person has to get really far zoned back to still get XP or gold or whatever, and stay in the lane. So that's really the most important thing to do. And so I'm actually putting wards on Sona a lot in this. Bombs on Sona a lot in this game. And Sona's really squishy, so she's not the worst target. If this was like a Nunu, putting bombs on him would really suck, because he could just heal with Consume. You know, he's pretty tough. Same goes with Taric, or, you know, let's say if they have a Soraka or a Janna, that's like a really annoying lane to face against with Zilean. Here they gank, 4-man gank us here, and they use all their flashes, you know, everything, and, you know, that just happens. I think I saw him, and I was telling Vayne to get back here, and I see them going for their blue. This is something that's important to do. You need to just go with your team, but not be too aggressive. And I know he's around here, so I'm trying to be safe and cautious. And I focused down Eve first, and I didn't need to use my exhaust there, so I should have just saved it. That was just a slight mistake on my part. And we get a double kill for for just the cost of Skarner, so that was totally worth it. And they were being over-aggressive. I've done this a lot in my games where I go for this, and it's totally the wrong play. Here, if I was level 4, we definitely would have gotten a kill. And he had to burn his flash, so that's great. Because if I was level 4, I would have used the speed bonus to get a kill there. I have blue buff, which is pretty unusual for a support to have. You usually don't get blue buff. And basically what I want to be doing here is just casting bombs as much as possible. Unfortunately, I don't have health pots, so I can't really harass as effectively, and that's okay. It's like I'm not going to be able to utilize this blue buff, and this is kind of why you wouldn't want to put blue buff on a carry. Even if like you had 2 resourceless champions, like this is like a good reason. You know, like Zilean is a champion that can use the mana pretty efficiently, the extra mana regen efficiently, and the cooldown reduction. But his problem is that it's too easy. He's too squishy to do that, and he's just going to get harassed if he tries to put too many bombs on. So another trick you can use with Zilean is use your W and E. So W reduces the cooldowns of all your abilities, and E makes you move faster. So you can use that to get to lane much more quickly. Even without boots, you can do it pretty quickly. Another thing you should notice when going to lanes is that sometimes when you're using your spells, you stop moving or you like misclick and you're just standing there and you're looking at your lane, and then you look back and you're like, wait, I'm still like trying to walk to the lane. What is going on here? And you know, you should just get in the habit of, you know, glancing at your lane, but making sure you're actually walking to the direction that you want to walk in. I'm trying to harass EZ as much as possible. I know that Sona has a heal, but it's actually a pretty weak heal. So I'm burning through his health pots. Possibly Sona would have been a better target to harass. She has, let's see how many health pots. She just has 1 health pot, whereas EZ had 3 health pots, I believe. Yeah, 3 health pots. So it's going to be pretty hard to harass him down, and I'm actually getting pretty low. And here again, before I was talking about putting wards in your brush, and this is a good spot if they're pushed up to put a ward. You know, you want to get it as deep as possible, because you don't actually get full vision of this brush if you put it up here. So getting it like halfway is pretty good. It also lets you see like lane ganks. Let's say it's all the way down here. You can like see like the entire brush, so they can't harass you from the brush. And then you can also see people trying to sneak up through the brush to lane gank you. And I think this Sona just didn't realize how squishy she was, and she's basically useless now. She can't do anything because we harassed her down, and if we double bomb her, she's dead. Vayne at the start of this game wanted to say that let's play really passive, and I told her, look, you know, like there are times when you should play passive, and there's times when you shouldn't. And obviously that does depend on the comp. Like they can really poke us down, and you know, generally speaking, we probably should be playing passive. But let's say when Sona goes back to the lane because we harass her out of it. Like, she needs to know that, like, alright, I need to get a little bit more aggressive here because EZ can't sustain as well. He doesn't have a laning partner, so he's pretty weak. So we should just try to zone him out of XP. And that's just something that you need to do. You know, you need to take advantages instead of just having a static strategy that doesn't change. I got too low, so I had to head back. I also wanted to get some GP10 items and some pink wards. And the reason I get more pink wards than I normally get in this game, even though pink wards are great for, you know, setting up ganks for your team, the pink ward is also pretty important for dealing with Eve. Normal wards are not going to detect Eve, so you have to get a pink ward if you want to play safe to her ganks. So getting pink wards against Eve, if you're, you know, playing top, you know, that's really useful. She likes to roam a lot, so, you know, it's worth getting that pink ward to stop that kill. Some people like don't like getting wards. They think it's a waste of money. But think of it this way. Let's say you get a ward and it prevents you from getting killed and taking a lot of damage so you can stay in your lane. You're going to make that money back, and you're going to prevent the other team from getting that money in XP. So really, like, wards are actually very cheap for what they do, and they save you money in the long run. Here, Skarner wants to do a lane gank, and it would have been even easier if I had been paying attention to where the enemy champions were warding. So like that's something that you should do. You should make sure that you can do that. And what I'm trying to do here is bait with my ulti, and we just get a free kill basically for EZ. And it was like very easy to deal with, and that was just a great gank by Skarner. And we didn't actually even need him. We had a kill even without him. You saw that when he went in, Sona was already dead. It was a 2v1, and Easy had missed his ulti, so there was no way he was going to get a kill. But again, I was just baiting there to try to get them to go in on me because I had an ulti, and that's something that you learn with experience. When is it good to bait, and when are you just wasting your ulti and potentially getting yourself killed and then wasting mana? And you'll get to know that a little bit better. But a good general rule is, let's say you got a jungler, he's gonna come and gank. If they go in on you and you're baiting, then they're just gonna die. You're gonna use your ulti, you're not gonna die, and they're gonna die. So you'll see in this game also an idea of where I baited and it really backfired. One thing Sona should realize is that they nerfed Sona significantly, so she's much more squishy in lane. And you just have to realize you can't be really aggressive. I slowed Easy, and that was definitely potentially the wrong choice there, because Sona was gonna die if I had slowed her, and I think that was the wrong choice, because a lot of times you really do want to go on the AD carry because he does all the damage. But sometimes you just have to realize, okay, Sona's really squishy. She has no defensive items, so she doesn't have her heart of gold yet. She doesn't have any items that she doesn't even have health pods. So here I get baited by Sona, so that's just something that happens. He basically flashed to get the kill off on me, and that happens. There was really, unless I had a ward in this Tribush, there was no way that I was going to be able to prevent that from happening without playing much farther back. And sometimes you just have to accept risks that are going to happen. That being said, you don't need to. You need to understand that's not necessarily bad play. Let's say you bought wards and everything, and the enemy jungle ganks you, and that really is annoying. Like you're just getting camped up, and your team thinks you're feeding, when actually what's happening is you bought wards, or you're playing safe to gank tops, but they're like 3-man ganking top or something like that. There's nothing you can do about that. Either you can say I'm just not gonna get any farm, or you can say this is okay, they're putting all their pressure on this top lane. That means that your team needs to, put pressure on other lanes. They can't, given the idea that, that they're not just so much better than you, that you're gonna lose no matter what. I don't think you can play like that. There's no way you can take advantage of mistakes and things like that. If you just assume that the other team is just so much better than you that there's no way you can win, even if they are, that's not a way to win games. You're just gonna slowly lose a game if you never take risks. So as I was saying before, so let's say they're camping top. That really sucks. You can't get farm, you can't really get XP or anything like that. But that should tell your team, okay, they're camping top, that means I can be more aggressive in these 2 lanes. And that means, like Vayne said at the beginning of the game, she wanted to play passive. That means that she can't do that. She has to understand that they're putting all this pressure top lane, so that means we need to get some advantages in some other lanes. I'm trying to get them to gank bot, it looks like, and so that's why I'm pinging down there. I see also that Sona had gone back, and I tell Vayne, okay, we need to force him back. We have to zone him. We have to take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have a laning partner. His laning partner went back to base. And that's just something that we have to understand that is going on. This guy doesn't have a laning partner. We can poke him. He shouldn't be allowed to do this. You don't want to just give up free advantages to the other team. You don't want them to be able to farm these minions when you have 2 people there. You have to take advantages, and these small things they don't seem like a lot, but they really add up. So for instance, let's say we get a level or 2 off of this, and maybe 3 or 4 extra CS. If you keep doing that, that's gonna add up over the game, and you need to do this. A lot of times, for instance, your support, and you're holding your lane, you know, the 80 here, I'm trying to bait for Skarner, and I didn't really pull off the bait right, so we basically just both die. I think, yeah, I just die, and we only get Sona, so like it wasn't worth it. Like yeah, it just wasn't worth it. I should have waited for Skarner to come down. But as I was saying before, like let's say you're a support, and you're in this lane and it's pushing really hard to the tower. A lot of times you'll just like go like, whatever, I'm a support, it's really hard to CS, I'm not gonna even bother. But you don't make that much gold as support. You're entirely reliant on GP10 items for gold and your masteries and ruins. And if you don't use that opportunity to get like extra gold, it's actually very significant because you just don't get that much gold. And like using like, you know, getting an extra 200 or 300 gold, you know, that's like 30 to like 60 seconds worth of time, like that you're getting more quickly into your build. So here, like, I could have been lazy and not bothered trying to CS anything. But instead, I'm making sure I try to get as much of this CS as possible because I'm just not going to get the opportunity to do that. So, you know, to be a better player, like, it's not just the major things, but also the little things that you need to just keep practicing and get better. You know, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to try hard just this game to get better. You need to do stuff consistently and keep trying to do them consistently to get better. For instance, I could have just left this ward here, but I decided to kill instead. Here, Volibear goes on me, and this is really risky by him. Like, my entire team here is here, and he doesn't know where they are. And if they had come, like, they would have totally died there. So that's just one thing that you need to not do. You can't just tunnel on the enemy team and think that you're gonna get a kill if you don't have any wards. That's very risky play. And sometimes it'll work out great, and you'll be like, oh, then tunneling's fine. And this is why probably tunneling is such a, and being over-aggressive is such a common characteristic in players, is that, you know, sometimes you kill everyone, and it seems like it's the best strategy ever. But you don't really recognize that, like, in a lot of cases it doesn't work. And it feels great to kill everyone, and so you sort of like get this reaffirmation bias that like it's working great when actually, you know, maybe it works less than 50% of the time, so it's just not a very good strategy. And you can just like sort of just wait for the games where that works and be like, okay, this is a game where I can just, you know, kill everyone and it's going to be a really easy game. And then you have to recognize games where, like, you know, you can't do that. Here, Sona gets really caught out and she has to use her ulti, and basically that was just I don't know why Vayne used her ulti or used her cleanse there, and I'm just trying to bait them out with my ulti, but I should have realized, okay, I don't actually need to use my ulti here and I can still be in the fight, so I should have stayed farther back. But we do manage to bait them all out, as you saw. Like, I recognized that Ahri was coming down, and I just wanted to get them low so that she could finish them off. And here we're going to just take towers off of that. So here again, it's capitalizing on an advantage. We got a kill, and we could have just not taken the tower, or alternatively, we can take the tower. Oh, that was actually very close. So there's this trick you can do with Skarner, is when you're dragging them back, you can turn around at the last second, and he'll like basically, his tail will spin around so they get even further back. If he had done that, Vayne could have condemned him into a wall and gotten a kill. So there's some little tricks that you can do to really like enhance them, and these are mechanics that enhance like what you're doing. And that's different from, for instance, doing like how you act in a team fight. So you want to focus on both. You want to focus on your mechanics, you know. So for instance, when you play Skarner, you'll realize, okay, so when I'm moving and then at the last second, if I turn around of my ulti, then the drag will be even more effective. Let's see. Let me try to think of some more mechanics. Okay, so for Vayne, if you're playing with Vayne, she really needs to be able to condemn to be very strong. She's very good as the way she is, but like using condemn properly makes her much stronger. So one way you can help that out is by putting wards in these brushes for the laning phase, and that's because oftentimes people will be running away through these brushes, or you want to fight in these brushes, and when you set the wards up for that, then you can make it much easier for her to condemn. For mechanics on easy, let's say you're playing an AD carry, you need to work on hitting all your skill shots, and that's just a matter of practice. And you have to sort of like learn how to predict where people are moving, and the more you do it, so if you want to learn a skill shot based champion, you have to play him a lot more than, for instance, a non-skill shot based champion, just to understand like how the skill shots work. So these are some examples of mechanics in your play that you can use to improve how well you do. Another major mechanic in this game is team play, and I think it's probably one of the more important mechanics in this game, if not the most important. Here we lose this fight because we didn't keep track of where Eve was, so it would have been okay, even though we didn't really execute it perfectly, if we had kept track of where Eve was. Unfortunately, we didn't do that, and we just died basically from her brush gank. That being said, me putting regular wards in these brushes wouldn't have done anything. I would have had to put a pink ward in one of the brushes. Okay, so we're waiting for myself and my laning partner to respond. This is good play by Ahri. She's trying to prevent them from getting free towers. And you don't want to give the enemy team advantages. So if you can save a tower, that's really important. You'll often see junglers do this a lot, and this is really bad on their part, in that they often think that it's better to farm the jungle and clear it than to save a tower, or get gold from the tower. And the thing is that solo lane gold is much greater than jungle lane gold, and you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be jungling if there's a free lane to go to. So the only drawback to that is that they know where you are. And that's kind of bad because it takes pressure off your lane, but at the same time your team is getting this huge advantage in that you're getting really farmed. Here I'm setting up extra wards so that we can do dragon, and I got an oracles for two reasons. Oracles is going to be very key in this game, and the reason it's key is because you have to recognize who you're playing against. If you're playing against an Eve, and Eve is an invisible base champion, and she's way worse if you have an oracles. And the second reason is the oracles lets you get map control. Alright, so the problem with this fight was that we got split up, and that we didn't need to get split up. If we had stuck together, we would have easily cleaned that fight up. So splitting up is okay in certain situations. For instance, let's say you're fighting against a Malphite. You have to see that, okay, I'm fighting against a Malphite. We can't all clump up. We have to split up a little bit. But when you split up, the problem is that they can focus down individual members of your team. Alright, so what are we trying to do in this fight here? I'm going to slow it down. The first thing that we wanted to do was secure Dragon because it was very low. That's going to fail. So what we want to do here is pick off Eve and Ezreal. We know that Malphite's coming from behind, so we really need to get these guys out, so it's not going to be an imbalanced fight on their part. And here again is the problem with getting split up. They got split up, and even though they were probably stronger in that team fight and could have killed us, the fact that they're split up means that we can concentrate fire and they can't. Okay, so back to normal speed. Here, we're just trying to not take too much tower damage to die. So I didn't want to take too much because I was low, and I didn't want Ahri to take too much, and I also didn't want her to escape. So one way you can prevent escapes is by not all going in the same direction, and that's a new mistake that a lot of people make. They all charge at someone, and the person escapes. So if the person's really low, you just need to secure that kill. You don't all want to clump up and chase that target in the same direction. You want to split up and cut off their avenues of retreat. Alright, so here I'm just trying to counter ward. My team had said that there was a bunch of wards that I missed, so I said, instead of like raging at them, being like, oh shut up, you're being a jerk, Like, they weren't being nice about it, but I was like, okay, just tell me where they are and I'll clear them up. And I only got like one of the 3 possible wards. So if your team recognizes a mistake in your play, for instance, I got an Oracle's and I wasn't using it efficiently, that is, I wasn't clearing wards when I was walking over them, and they point it out, but don't do it in a mean way. You don't need to, you know, take it up another notch by saying, wow, shut up, I don't want to hear your criticism. You can just be like, okay, so I missed some wards, that means I should just do better, you know, at checking for wards when I'm walking. And, you know, you can change that, you know, a person being a negative into like asking for something more constructive, being like, okay, so I'm missing wards, can you be more informative to me on where I'm missing the wards? Okay, so they're here, so I can change that aspect of my play to make it better instead of just you know, making more mistakes. Here I ultied because I realized I was dead, and that was just me overextending. I should have realized that Eve was still up there, and I basically got my laning partner killed. If Eve had gone the right way, she would have survived. And here she just dies because she went in the wrong direction. But that was just lucky on our part, in that we capitalized on a mistake that they made. They didn't need to make that mistake. We're trying to get more kills here, and I need to speed up Skarner and not Ahri in these fights, even though Ahri is pretty important to speed up, but Skarner's more important because he has a slow. Ahri does need it to be in the team fights to do damage, but she doesn't have to be that close. So that was just a mistake. I shouldn't have sped up Ahri there. Here's an issue where you'll be farming a lane and your ally will, you know, be overly aggressive, and you just have to go with that. You know, you have to say, okay, she's been over aggressive. I don't need to punish her by just letting her die for mistakes. I'm just gonna go to her and save her. And you know, you don't always want to do that. There are obviously situations where that doesn't make any sense. But if you notice your teammate has overextended, is in trouble, you should try to go and help them. You know, maybe sometimes they'll just die before you get there, and sometimes, you know, you totally shouldn't have gone. But you know, that being said, you don't need to like punish your teammates for making mistakes. That doesn't make any sense. You know, it's a team game. By punishing your teammates, you're really just punishing yourself. Alright, so I'm going to talk about what items I'm looking to get here. So the first item that I got, and I almost always get with Zilean, is this Chalice of Harmony after my GP10 items. And then after that, I build it into an Athene's Grail, also trying to keep up with wards. And Athene's Grail is really good on Zilean. It gives you a substantial increase in AP, so that's very important for doing more damage. And it also, even more importantly, gives you extra mana regen. Zilean has huge mana problems, and he really needs the extra mana regen to be effective in team fights. Alright, so here is another potential team fight. So we got this ward here, and I'm just going to put bombs on Volibear. And my new goal in team fights is to slow down Volibear. He's just trying to, you know, dive into our team and, you know, prevent anyone from doing anything. And so if I do that, then they can't really do things effectively. The next thing I'm trying to do in these team fights is, after Volibear has been dealt with, I need to make sure I put ultis down on the people that need them. And I actually mess this up a lot in these team fights. Alright, so what's the new objective in this team fight? One is to speed up, what's his name? This guy. His name is, wow, I can't remember his name for some reason. Rumble. And when you start chasing, it's actually much more effective, usually, to slow down the enemy champion. And the reason that is that if you speed up one champion, only, like, let's say I speed up, for instance, Ahri or something like that. She can only, she's gonna get ahead of us, and we're all gonna be behind. However, if you slow down the enemy champion, he's gonna stick with your entire team because your entire team is faster than them. So, for instance, let's say Easy is faster than everyone on our team, and I speed up one person so that they're faster than Easy. So that's just a little bit more damage. That does some damage, right? But if I slow down Easy, then we're all faster than Easy, and we can all do damage. So you can see, like, that's like 5 times as much damage being dealt to Easy if you slow him down. Whereas if you had sped up someone else, then you do a fifth as much damage basically. Obviously those numbers aren't exact. Like not all members of your team do the same amount of damage. Okay, so the next thing that I want to point out is wards. A lot of times you'll see that, look, Bane has wards and I have wards and Skarner has wards, and we're not using them. There's not a lot of point in buying wards and just leaving them in your inventory. So an instance where you might want to do that is when you see that the enemy team has oracles and you don't know where the wards are, so you don't want to put down a bunch of wards and just get them countered by oracles. But this is not the case here, obviously. And you really do need to put down your wards to use them. Like, why would you even waste money buying wards if you're not going to use them? One thing you can do, obviously, if you have ward coverage and oracles is key in this equation, is if they start doing dragon, you can do Baron. And you have to count how much damage you have. So one thing that you have to look at is your AD carries. Your AD carries do lots of sustained damage, and that's really important. So if your AD carry is fed, as Vayne is in this case, she has 181 CS and good items, then you can do Baron. Here, I slow down Polar Bear, and I do this consistently at Baron Asher fights to prevent him from getting steals and let us easily focus him down. And slowing down, bruisers is a very important part of playing Zilean. If you slow them down, they really have to alter their playstyle, and I've never actually seen a bruiser understand that that's what's happening and alter his playstyle accordingly. Alright, so we're trying to push this turret down, and we're pretty low, and we could have done it, but we decide to back out, and that's okay. There's a couple considerations and drawbacks in doing this. One is that they're low also, and we have Baron regen, and they have a dead teammate. So that means that if we back out, then it might be more difficult to siege this tower because they'll just have more teammates, and they'll have bot items, and they'll be at full health the next time we try to siege the tower. Conversely, if you're all low and you try to dive a tower too aggressively, you might just die and waste Baron buff. And also, when you go back, you're probably going to have more gold because you killed Baron, and if you're killing Baron, you're probably also up in gold advantage as well. So that means that you can buy items to get even further and make your team more powerful. So you just have to consider, alright, what's their clearing power? If they have a Nivea and this turret is like a little risky, but not super risky, then it's usually worth it, to make that small risk, because there's no way you're going to be able to push this turret against an Nivea that's like pretty strong. Conversely, let's say they have this team. This team isn't very good at clearing waves. Easy can use his ulti, and that's about it. Evelyn can't really use her hate spike to clear waves, because if she tries to get up in the waves, she'll just die. Obviously, Malphite can't really clear a wave, because he has to be close to the wave to clear it easily, use his wave clear. And all the other guys have single target DPS. You shouldn't overextend, and this happens a lot when you're up in advantages. You think, okay, we're like really strong, we have Baron buff, and we don't need to do anything. And you just overextend, and this is a big mistake. You just have to see that, like, okay, that's just not gonna work. You shouldn't dive in them. And you should just accept that you're actually gonna get more kills if you wait. Like, people dive in, I think, because they like getting kills and it's exciting. But if you like getting kills, know that you're not gonna get as many kills, and you're not gonna be as awesome if you're not as fed. So the way you get more fed is by getting ahead in the game, killing towers and stuff like that. So really, if your goal is to get lots of kills, then don't think that like diving in to get that kill is usually going to be all that good. You want to secure your advantage, keep pushing it out, and that makes it like so easy for you to get kills. You feel like so much more powerful when you get further and further ahead. And this is actually a part of the game where we kind of gave them a chance to get back. We overextended on that bear. We lost it on 2 people. Vayne died, so our carry died. Rumble died, and he had like a bunch of kills, and we let them get back to this game. And this is a problem that, you know, that's pretty common. You know, like, people get ahead and then they just punt their lead. Here you can see how powerful slowing down Volibear was. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't run away, he couldn't escape, he couldn't do anything at all. And this is why slowing the bruisers is so strong, or people that want to stick to your team, like slowing Malphite if he's trying to, you know, disrupt Vayne's abilities. We really do need to push this tower in because we don't want to let them get back in the game, and this tower is basically free. They have one team member that's missing. They can't really dive us very easily besides Malphite, and you know, it just makes a lot of sense not to give them chances to get back in the game. Unfortunately, we did not execute that very well, and it ends up turning out poorly for us. Luckily, we had an ulti. My ulti was up, so we only lost 2 instead of the 3 that we should have lost. And Zilean is good because he lets your team make more mistakes. So, you know, you can, you know, do a bad engagement and you won't get as punished for it as you normally would. You saw that EZ's ulti went down the middle of this map, and that's another thing that you can do to give yourself a small edge. You know that EZ wants to ulti to pick you off, and Karthus can do this too. There's a bunch of people that have global ultis that can pick you off, and you can just, you know, move somewhere that there's no way they're going to ulti to prevent them from doing that. So if you are low and you know that the other team has a global ulti, you should position yourself, for instance, let's say EZ, not down you shouldn't back in the middle of the lane, and that's just very easy to do. And you know, like, you should do it consistently. Like I said before, like, do the small things consistently to really get them ingrained, so you don't have to think about them anymore, and they'll add up. Like, these small things will slowly start to add up and you'll become a much better player. For my next item that I'm gonna get with him, I'm actually gonna get, after my sword shoes, I'm gonna get a death cap, and you start doing more damage than potentially the AP carry. So the AP carry has like see what he has. He has like, he's pretty farmed, but I'm actually starting to catch up on him in CS. I mean gold, because I have my GP10 items. So let's see how much gold these. This is generated almost 1,000. This is generated 500, and I'm sure I sold my the Philosopher's Stone, and that probably generated, you know, like 1,000 or, you know, 1,100 or something like that. So I'm starting to catch up on gold to the AP carry. Let's see how much gold I have. I actually have more gold than anyone else on my team because I bought GP10 items, which is crazy. Like, yes, I have a bunch of kills, but like, I didn't really get any CS in this game until much later in the game. I didn't get any CS in the laning phase, and I'm CSing now because there's no reason for me not to get farmed and get much stronger, so I can help our team more. But like, you know, the GP10 masteries are very strong, and they let you let support carries, you know, do stuff in the game. Alright, so we want to do Baron, and we see that they're pushing bottom. I want you to just think what you would do in this situation. And I think it would be probably pretty obvious what the right choice is. You can't do Baron here. If you do Baron, they can just push this and get inhibs and potentially kill your base. So that's wrong. And I think a lot of times when you play games, if you look back on them in retrospect, you're like, why did I do that? That didn't make any sense. And you just need to sort of like calm down in games so that you don't do that. Like, you need to, you know, not get so caught up in games that you lose sight of your objectives. And this is actually a phenomenon that happens with fighter pilots. They get so caught up in a fighter battle that they can't, here I'm going to slow this down because there's another team fight, that they can't see what's going on. You know, they lose sight of all the like enemy pilots, and they can't do anything. Alright, so again, my goal here is to slow Volibear so he can't do anything. Vayne this was really a bad fight for us. Vayne needed to get in the back line, and we wanted to get less clumped up because Maokai can just destroy us with his ulti, and it's going really poorly in this fight for us. Luckily, they did have some positional errors so that we can, you know, capitalize on that. And I'm just trying to, you know, split them up so that we can, you know, have some counterplay. That's why I was down here. But what would have been better was if I was basically over here. So this is positioning, and it's difficult to do. You need to, in this fight, it was really bad for us because we all clumped up here to try to do Baron, and Malphite ulted in us and got like 3 or 4 of us and all our 80 carries, and we don't have any front line. As you can see, we only have Skarner, and he's not really that tanky. You can see, you can just by looking at his items, you can see he's not like super tanky Skarner. So they can just melt him and then focus our backline. So what we need to do here is kite, and that's not what happened. Malphite got a great ulti. He got everyone knocked up, and then we just all died. We all melted. And you just need to look at your team comp and see what your team comp is like and prevent that from happening. You know, see what their objectives are. Their objective is to get Volibear into the fight, you know, disrupt us, prevent our AD and AP carries from doing damage. So he wants to run up to Vayne, throw him back, and so that people can focus him down. Malphite wants to run in, you know, get 3 or 4 people in an ulti, and then if they can get a Sona follow-up on that with an easy ulti across us, we're gonna die. Like, it's just so hard to beat that. Our goal is to kite, and when we don't do that, you saw right there that we just lost the fight horribly. Like we were ahead in gold, and you can see that there's plenty of opportunities for counterplay. You shouldn't just give up just because you're behind. You just have to recognize how you can use your team composition more effectively to win games. Unfortunately, I died there, and I had to buy another Oracles, and I keep having to buy Oracles at this game, and it sucks, but we really do need them for Eve. So I don't know that I would always keep buying them so frequently. Like, I buy them every time I die if there wasn't an Eve, but it makes Eve so much worse. And also, like, for instance, Teemo, or it makes Vayne, like, way worse if you buy it. It also makes, oh, I walked over a word again. Darn! Okay, I need to stop walking over words. It makes Vayne worse, it makes Evelyn worse, it makes all these invisible champions so much worse. Akali, that's another example. Like, Eve, Evelyn, and Akali just get shut down so much by Oracles. And they seem so strong if people don't buy Oracles. They're like, they get up into the middle of your team and you can't do anything, and it's horrible. And they seem way OP. But as soon as you get this item, like, sometimes they're just items that completely shut down their team. And I'm not saying that, like, Evelyn can't, you know, deal with an Oracles, but she has to change her playstyle. And the same goes for Akali. She can't just jump into the middle of the team and use her W. And a lot of times players won't make that adjustment. Alright, so we want to, one, capitalize on the fact that we know that Sona disconnected, so we're going to do a Baron. And, you know, it kind of sucks for them that, like, this is happening, that, you know, we're taking advantage of that. But, you know, like, you got to take, it's not fair for us either to just sit around and do nothing. So that's just a consideration. Alright, so Malphite's ulti failed horribly that time. The only person he knocked up was me. And you'll see what is going on here. Vayne and I are both in the backline. We have to be in the backline. And that's just how this fight has to go. And Skarner is, and I didn't use my ulti, unfortunately. That sucks. Skarner and Rumble are up in the front line, and that's good. So this is what you can see the positioning, and it's hard to keep track of this all in normal team fights. But this is just what you have to do to do well in team fights, and it's just positioning, as you can see. And, alright, I'll speed this up a little bit more. As you saw, again, Vayne and I were in the back line. I needed to ulti someone, and I didn't, and that sucks, but, you know, sometimes you just die too quickly, or the person you're trying to ulti dies too quickly for you to ulti. And we pulled that off. And also, they shouldn't have fought that. It was a 4v5, so that, like, that was another thing that, another flaw in their consideration. Wait, is it still 0.5? Yeah, okay. So our positioning was great there. So what went right? Our positioning was great. What went wrong for them was the Malphite ult didn't do anything. It did absolutely nothing. And that's just, you know, like, that simple. Like, that was all that needed to happen between, you know, that horrible team fight that happened and this great team fight for us. Unfortunately, it turned out very poorly because we tried to do Baron, even though, you know, we were all very low. Alright, there's no way that Vayne is probably going to kill this guy. She needs to be much higher in skill for her to be easy. Because he can kite her, and she does a lot of damage, so she might be able to kill him, but it's like a toss-up. And she doesn't have GA, so if she makes that risk, she's just going to get horribly punished. Another thing that I try to do consistently is get pots, and if you have 250 gold, you should really start adding this into your gameplay. It makes you much stronger. For instance, the blue pot I think is probably the strongest pot in my opinion. It gives you CDR, which is probably why I think it's the strongest pot. It gives you a huge increase of CDR for very little gold, and you should just start adding that into your gameplay. A lot of times people won't do it, and it just makes you so much stronger, and it's totally worth doing, and it's very cheap. They're very cost-effective items. And the next item I want to get is I want to turn this into probably, let's see, I probably want to turn it into a Deathfire Grass. So that's what I'm going to do next. Alternatively, I could have gotten MR, and the reason I don't get MR is because, Magic Pen, is because I just don't have the inventory space. I need to still be getting wards, and that's a mistake. I should have gotten wards, but I probably didn't have any gold because I got another oracles. But yeah, so like I need inventory space, so I can't. I have actually, the restrictions aren't necessarily on gold for me, but actually in inventory space. All right, so we're farming up. Vayne's getting our red, and that's good. Like getting the person that needs red is actually the person with the most attack damage. That's the most effective. And here Rumble got caught out, and they actually should have won this fight, but again they overextend, and this is just something that you have to accept. You know, you're gonna overextend, your enemy team is gonna extend, but you need to, you know, try to keep that in mind and not make those mistakes. You know, you take that advantage and turn it into something. You know, like don't just blow it by trying to like kill the entire team after that. You know, you should just wait a second, think what. All right, so we killed them, but we got a little low doing that. We shouldn't just dive in on them and then have them, you know, turn that advantage into nothing. And that was just them overextending, as you could see. Like, it was a big mistake, and they shouldn't have done that. And it's so easily correctable, but it's so hard to do because you get caught up in the moment. And here, you know, we didn't try to kill their inhibs, and we could have done that. That was our choice. We could have killed Baron Nashor, or we could have killed their inhibs. And I think either of those choices was acceptable. However, chasing EZ around the jungle and trying to get the last kill was a bad idea. Like, you know, and that's gonna happen pretty frequently. You know, like let's say we could have totally tried to kill EZ on that fight, chased him all over the place, and maybe gotten the kill. But that doesn't really get us that far ahead. Yes, it kills EZ, it gets rid of his GA, so that's even more beneficial than it would normally be. But at the same time, we're not really advancing our gameplay, and the small decrease to their team strength that they get, and the small increase is not worth the much larger increase of killing an inhib or getting Baron. So I guess like maybe the main lessons to take away from this replay are, one, positioning. So you can see like they had successful fights where we messed up on positioning and they comboed their ultis right, and we just lost. And the second is not, you know, trying to turn your advantages into something that they aren't. So Maokai just wasted his ulti there, and that was a big mistake. Like, he should have realized that their team wasn't there, and that, you know, like they couldn't. There was no reason for them to ulti in there, and that was just a case. I don't even know like what was going through their mind when you looked at that fight. It looked so obvious, and if you ever watch your own replays, you'll realize, wait, why did I do that? That made no sense. And sometimes you'll make plays and you're like, you know, like there was a better choice, but you just don't know it. But like, I think a huge amount of your plays you're gonna be like, wait, why did I do that? That made no sense. And you just have to realize, like, all right, I need to calm down, and I need to not be this into the game where I can't, you know, make logical decisions. And I think playing the game like that is much more fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this replay. Again, I'm trying to be as helpful and try to help you guys improve your gameplay as much as possible, you know, through the use of my own gameplay. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, comment, you know, anything like that. It always helps me out a lot, so I really appreciate it when you guys do that. A bunch of you have already done so, and I really appreciate you guys doing it. So thanks so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this replay.